Last week we started with stoichiometry, right? And we did a lot, so please go through it late, maybe at the end of the day. If there's any issue, just let me know. Sorry, is this light affecting you? Okay, you can use it. Or you can draw down that. Yeah, there's a way you can do it. It makes sense?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now we can sleep well.
If you sleep, that's your. But it's okay like this, right? But if someone enter now, they will think we are in secret court. Or they won't think we are in secret court.
I have your recording.
No, it's disturbing, so it's a little.
This turn on.
I should turn off like this. If you sleep, that's your own.
I hope it isn't seen camera.
Okay, let's start. Now, for today, we start with effect of environment on cell growth. Actually, I wanted to start with fermentation before, but I discovered that we still have two more topics before we get to fermentation. So this one will help you. Now, measurement of cell growth. now, last week we discussed that about cell growth, that most of the time it's difficult to measure cell growth. And we mentioned about a respirator. You remember that most times when we have RP equals to this, when RP is greater than 1, what happens? We know that we have maybe the development of toxic waste and the rest like that. And at the end of the day, our microorganism is already tending towards the death phase, right? But we can actually know what is really happening in terms of cell growth. Now, to measure cell growth, there are different techniques. So measurement of cell growth can be categorized into, we can actually measure cell mass, and we can actually measure cell numbers. Like for human being, to measure cell growth, most of the time is through what? Maybe through height and the rest like that, right? And we have cell number also. So for this one, we have cell mass. When someone is getting big, you know that, oh, maybe he's eating well and the rest like that. So, or we can use what? Cell number. So let's look at this. So we have different methods. For the first one, to measure cell mass. The first one is we have the direct method. The direct method is what? Direct physical measurement of the cell mass. And we have indirect methods also. That is estimation techniques based on indirect variable related to cell mass. Then we can use turbidity also to measure cell mass. This turbidity, most of the time we use spectrophotometer. We have it in the department. I just got one at the department to measure turbidity of that cell. So most times, if you want to measure cell growth in the lab, most times we use this turbidity measurement.
We have used it in the water lab.
You say what?
We have used this turbidity meter in the lab, or water based in.
Water, yeah, we can use this. I have it. I have the new
we
one.
have a turbidity meter there. Yeah.
So you can actually use turbidity method also. Then we have measurement of cell number. So we have microscopic method, that is cell are counted directly through microscope, like this.
Can we count, how we count this through microscope? The microscope?
Yes, we have. Yeah, we have. There's something we call something counter. I think I use it in one of where I worked before as formulation or whatever. We have something counter. I've forgotten that. So you put it inside. It will count on its own, automatically on its own.
Microscope counts.
Yeah, it will put. I've forgotten. They call it something counter. I can't even remember. So it can count on its own. So then we have electronic counting chambers also. I think this is what I'm talking about. So it's used specialized equipment to electronically count the cell number. And the last one is indirect variable cell count also. So those are the techniques we use in determining the growth or in measuring the cell growth. Then for this measurement, I told you we have the cell mass. We can measure cell growth by measuring cell mass or by measuring what? Cell cell number. And we have direct method and indirect method. I mean for cell mass. So I said we have direct method, indirect method, and turbidity measurement. And for cell number, we have direct microscopic method, and we have electronic counting chamber. This is just the summary of how to measure cell growth. So method and application for direct microscopic counts, we apply this one to determine the what bacteria in milk or cellular vaccine. Most times when you finish in dairy products, so you can actually see if you have bacteria developing already in your milk before selling it out. Because if at the end of the day outside you discover that is a problem for your company, so we check that before we release that into the environment. And most of the time we do check that to even determine the cell life of your, this shelf life of your products. So now, then we have the viable cell count, just to determine the what bacteria in milk, food, soil, water, lab culture. And all of these have their own advantage and disadvantage. Take for instance, the use of viable cell count is very sensitive. That is if plating condition, that is the plate you use, is optimal. Then we have turbidity measurement. One good thing about it is that it's fast and non-destructive. But the drawback is that it cannot dictate cell density less than 10 raised to the power 7. Then most times we use measurement of total nitrogen. I've done this. That is to measure a cell mass that is proteinous in nature. So we can use the total nitrogen also. And most times I think I use Bradford method before, but that one is not it's not inclusive. That's another method. But we can use total nitrogen also. And this is only practical. It can only be done in the lab, just for small scale. Then measurement of biochemical activities such as oxygen intake, CO2 production. All these methods we can actually use it in the laboratory and industry to measure the cell growth. Then now, we have three main environmental factors that affect cell growth. Please listen and listen well. This came out last year. And the first one is, so three main environmental factors that can either influence or affect cellular growth. The first one is temperature. The second one is pH. And the last one is what? Oxygen. So most times, when you have your bioreactor, especially the bioreactor with, there's some bioreactors that are automated, you will discover that you have pH there that you can set. Then you have the temperature, then you have the oxygen. So as the temperature is increasing or decreasing, you will be seeing it there. But this is the temperature, so you can easily adjust and control. Then for oxygen also, you can have the oxygen intake as it increases and reduces. So these are three important environmental factors or parameters. So now, from your design project, I mentioned design parameters. So you need to know the temperature, the pH, and the oxygen. You can check that one online. And possibly you can check online, maybe you have any design online that is related to that. But please be careful not to copy and paste, because now we will catch you. And once your plagiarism is above 40, you will face panel. You will face panel. They will set up panel for you. That's for misconduct.
Penalty?
Yeah, panel
Okay, panel. Okay.
for you. So it's better for you not to be in that situation, because by then it's beyond me. They will pick it. Oh, this person is above 40. So
Below
they will
40,
pick it.
40.
40 in terms of the plagiarism.
It's 40, 40 or 1,
40%. But for me, anything above 40, because what I do most of the time is that I grade originality. Now, once you have your plagiarism above 20, so if I want to grade originality, maybe it's 30 marks. So if it is above 20, for example, then from that 30 marks, you can get just like 7 over 30. So, but one is around 15, I know that at least you can get 20. But once I have a plagiarism of 4%, then you can get 30 over 30 on originality on the score. So very important.
How can we reduce the plagiarism?
No, make sure it's original, it's your own words.
Sometimes if we write it
plagiarism
wrong.
checker on the.
No, there is plagiarism checker on the module, so
On the module.
it will always show it, so it's not.
If we write on our own, sometimes it comes up with plagiarism.
But just be careful, at least no matter how it is, you understand? Once it's above 20, then you are already doing past your power. So it's better just be careful, right? Don't worry, in writing is my hobby, so I know when it is.
Well, it's not my hobby now.
And then you have to learn, that's why you are here. That's what I'm teaching you. So temperature effect. So that's the first parameters. So temperature impact, it alters cell constituents, especially protein and membrane components. Now, double with every 100 degrees C increase in temperature. So in most times, your growth rate increases as temperature increases every 10%, depending on microorganism you are dealing with. Like, we have different microorganisms. Microorganisms have optimal temperature range. That's the temperature at which it works perfectly. It must, like some of you, when we are not used to lower temperature, right? And by the time we got to UK, we discovered that we have to adapt, right? And for us, there are certain temperatures. See, I'm wearing this, so there are certain temperature that we can adapt with. You just remind me that it's getting hot here. So there are certain temperature that you can adapt with, right? So for different organisms, we have different optimal temperature where they can work perfectly. Now, example is psychrophytes. So psychrophytes are microorganisms that their optimal temperature is below 200 degrees. So anything above 200 degrees C,
20 or
20 degrees C, 20 degrees C. So such microorganisms, once you put them outside 20 degrees C, they start misbehaving. So you must know the tolerance of your microorganism to temperature. Then we have mesophiles. Mesophiles are microorganisms that can work optimally between 20 and 50. So anything above 50 degrees C, they start misbehaving. Then we have thermophiles also. These are microorganisms that even at higher temperature, they will still behave normally. So you must know the tolerance, the optimal tolerance of your microorganism. That's very important. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's very important. So when we are talking about the effects of parameters on microorganism or on the cell growth, this is what we are talking about. So it means for microorganisms that are psychrophytes, it means by the time you are setting the temperature, it must be within this range, right? So those are the parameters you need to take into consideration for your design projects. Like for example, we have a design project that has to do with production of a Pseudomonas frutida or whatever. So you must know what is the maximum temperature. So you can't just take temperature, just a parameter just like that. So any parameters you want to choose in your design project, just tell me the reason why you are choosing that parameter, because what we are dealing with is Pseudomonas forever. The optimal that it can take is this, right? You understand me now? So you must be careful. So that's about that. So even if you lie to me, I will catch you. So don't just take any temperature arbitrarily and no. So now we have psychrophiles. So the characteristic is that the growth is temperature between minus 5 degrees C to 30. Then the optima is what? That's the highest. Is between 10 to what? 20 degrees C. Then adaptation, enzyme that works well in cold, fluid cell membrane at low temperature. So all the microorganisms under this, they can work under cold environment, right? Then example is algae in polar region, temperature below degree C, they are still okay, right? And have you ever heard of there are microorganisms that can work in lower temperature environment, even cold environment, icy environment? they can still adapt. Then we have bacteria responsible for the spoilage of refrigerated food, like milk, meat. Has it ever occurred to you, even most of the time, when you put milk inside fridge, it still gets spoiled?
Yeah.
And it's because the microorganism that can grow inside it, by the time you have, let's say, no fridge, most of the time you have fridge, freezer. On top, if you have, for example, you have like milk inside, it means it's better to reduce it maybe to around minus something, or maybe like 0 degrees C or 4 degrees C, at least 4 degrees C, it will still stay okay without spoiling. But once you are having like 10 degrees C, 20 degrees C, you check, it's still cold, but for microorganisms can still grow on it, especially for meat and the vegetable. So very important. So those microorganisms that grows on all this food, they are what? Psychophiles microorganisms. Exactly now. And now the next one is mesophile. These are microorganisms whose optimal growth is between 20 and 40 degrees C, and they are common in warm-blooded animals, including humans. We are mesophiles. An example is pathogenic bacteria, that causes diseases in human. Then we have symbiotic bacteria, that are those bacteria that are beneficial to us, right? That live within our host. Then we have cell bacteria in our body that digest and the rest of them. So then we have thermophiles. They thrive at higher temperature, even above 50 degrees C, 60 degrees C, they're still okay. They are common in environment like hot springs and geothermal vents, like in Africa and other Asian countries. So even no matter what you do, even if you eat to a certain degree, microorganism is still here, is still there. Most times you put your food inside and you increase it maybe like 60 degrees C, 70 degrees C. Certain microorganism will still be in existence inside that food. So that's very important. So those are thermophiles. So that is the effect of temperature on cell growth. So what we are talking about is that we have different microorganisms that can grow to a larger extent. Now we are not talking about microorganisms in a bad light now. We are talking in a good light now. That okay, how can we maintain that microorganism in such a way that it will not become denatured or die during the process? So temperature is very important too. So look at your process very well. Like the one that has to do with production of penicillin, for example, you should know the tolerance of penicillin or whatever it is to what? To temperature. So if you are giving me parameter, I will check very well if the parameters you are giving me make sense. So don't just write anything for me. Don't just download anything for me. Don't just use AI for anything, because AI can be crazy at times, right? Use something that you know that you have references for, and I can check. So you have to defend it. So if I see anything that doesn't make sense, I will send to you individually. How do you get this? And if you don't give me, if you are unable to give me cogent reason, then you know that you are losing your marks. So I don't want just anything. I want something at the end of the day anybody can pick and say, oh, what you are rating makes sense. Exactly. Because somebody will still grade me also, right? So look at this table. Thermophiles. The minimum is between 40-45 degrees, and the optimum is what? 50 to 75 degrees, and 80 degree margin. Even at 80 degrees, it can still withstand this kind of temperature. Then we have mesophile between these. Then we have other groups also, obligate, and we have facultative microorganism also. Those can withstand very, 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 very low environment. Then that's the classification of microorganism in terms of growth rate and their dependence on what temperature. Now, so some of these can tolerate at a very harsh condition, such as decomposing materials, hot spring, that's temperature between 80 to 85 degrees, and deep in the ocean by thermal vents and so on and so forth. So above the temperature given above, the growth rate decreases and thermal death may occur. So the reason why we need to be careful is that if you have a process, you must be wary of what? Thermal death. Because there are microorganisms that die, not because of any environment, it's because the heat is too much for them. Exactly. So you should be able to know what kind of microorganism you are dealing with to produce certain things. So very important. So choose your temperature, because parameters. So I told you, parameter choice is very important. So I will check whatever you are giving me with temperature. So you have to tell me the reason why I'm choosing this temperature is because the microorganism that we are using is what can withstand this temperature, and give me references to that. Very important. So you will get this part, parameter choice, you will get it correctly if you choose the right one. So I won't just mark arbitrarily, I will check. So this is very important, and that is very simple. You can only check up online and get references to back that up. So that's the reason why I said I didn't want to give you what's the name? I didn't want to give you the design project before the time. You need all this information for you to give me something meaningful. So do you have any question on Tama? Do you have any question on Tama? Jyoti, any question? Now, another parameter is pH. So if you are giving parameters, we've mentioned what? Temperature. That is based on reactor alone. No? Don't forget, you will see our parameters for, let's say, once you finish the whole process, you will take out all the carcasses, everything out, right? Your product, and you still use other separation process, maybe like sedimentation, centrifugation. That is where your advanced separation process comes in, right? So if you are having like a process design or a process flow, then the process flow is not about the reactor alone. So I'm not asking you just to design the bioreactor, but the whole process. Exactly now. So now, pH. So this one came out last year. So now, the influence of pH on cellular activity is determined by the sensitivity of the individual enzymes of bacteria or microorganism to changes in pH. So enzymes or bacteria are normally active only within a certain pH interval. So the microorganism you have in each of those projects, you should know the optimal pH. So it means if you want to have a subheading under parameters, you need to give, let's say the subheading is key parameters, right? You write pH, right? Then you explain. Then you give different references to that. If I were you, I will start now. So if today the only thing I can do is just for key parameters, just do that today, right? And you're okay with it. One page is okay for that, right? Then, so therefore, a complex function of environmental pH. So the pH, the range of pH over which the microorganism grow is defined by three main categories. The first one is the minimum pH. So below which microorganism cannot grow. So now, that's the first. Then we have the maximum pH. That is above which the microorganism cannot grow. Then we have the optimal pH at which the microorganism grow. So we have the minimum, right? And they have the maximum. So between the minimum and the maximum, we have the optimal. Exactly now. So now, we have growth versus pH for three environmental classes of prokaryotes. Now, we have pH scale. In our pH scale, we always have acidic, neutral, and basic. So the same thing applicable. That's what we're talking about pH here. So when you have any bacteria that can withstand acidic environment, they are called acidophile. Just like we have thermophile, mesophile. So in terms of this, any microorganisms or any enzymes that can withstand a pH below 7, we call it acidophile. But any microorganism or enzymes that can withstand a more basic environment, we call it alkalophile. Then any microorganism or enzymes that can withstand a pH, a neutral pH, just like water, they are called what? Neutrophile. I think last year, what I did, I removed all this. and I ask you to, what's the name? I ask you to fill up, but I won't ask you that this year. So I can give you in a different complex way, but just need to explain for me. So it's better you understand. It's easy now. Below below 7, that's acid. Acidophile. Basic is alkali, yeah? Alkalify. Very simple. Neutral, neutrophile. So you don't need to cram it, right? So those are different, what's the name? Different environments where, so this is the growth rate, and this is the more acidic. So that's that about that. So let's look at effect of oxygen. So we've mentioned what? So you must be able to tell me what's the pH tolerance of the what? Of the microorganism you deal with. You can check references to that, right? Therefore, the effect of oxygen. The oxygen is a key substrate in aerobic fermentation. So you must know oxygen is sparingly soluble, limiting factor. You know oxygen is sparingly soluble. So it has impact on what? On growth rate. So below, and to measure dissolved oxygen, that's DO. So below critical DO, growth rate varies with DO. Below critical dissolved oxygen, growth rate varies. But above the critical dissolved oxygen, growth rate is independent of dissolved oxygen. What you are saying is this: we are looking at what happened to growth rates versus the dissolved oxygen. So in a situation whereby our dissolved oxygen is above critical value, then it doesn't depend on growth rate again. Okay. But when it is below, then it depends. It's more or less like, okay, I'm only concerned about you not failing. So anything below 40 or below 50, especially for biochemical, is failure. You know that? Anything below 50 in biochemical engineering, you know it's failure. Do you know that? So it means I'm only concerned about below 50. So anything you get above 50, I'm not concerned about it. Exactly now. The only thing I'm concerned about is for you not to fail. So the same thing applicable to this now. Below critical dissolved oxygen, growth rate varies with the oxygen. But anything above, it doesn't affect the growth rate.
What is critical dissolved oxygen?
Critical is more or less like there's for different microorganisms, there's always the oxygen, the minimum oxygen they can have. This is what I'm saying. Oxygen cannot be too much.
Too much?
But oxygen, if oxygen is limited, you understand, it's a problem. What I'm saying is that there cannot be too much of how much oxygen you can what? You can inhale. You understand? Yeah. But problem happen when there is limitation. Malini. You are causing trouble there. What happened? Magunda. All oxygen is enough there.
No, I don't think so.
Hope everything is okay there.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that it is only if there is what's the name? Less oxygen that will be worried. You understand? But when there is more oxygen, then we are not worried. It's more like, okay, you have food. You understand? When you don't have enough food in a ceremony, that's when we are worried. But when we have too much food, then it's left to you. If you eat, you are the one that will say, I'm okay. Exactly now. So the same is applicable to growth rate. Growth rate is independent on dissolved oxygen above the critical value. But growth rate is dependent on when there is limiting or when there is a below critical DO. Do you understand that? So what you are saying is that if an enzyme or microorganism only need a particular dosage of oxygen, so if the oxygen is above the requirement, microorganism is still happy because it will only take the one that is in need of, right? But when it is below, then it will now start affecting the growth rates. So too much of dissolve oxygen doesn't affect the microorganism or the enzyme, but too low affects the growth rate. That's what I'm talking about. Hope I'm recording. That's good. Okay. Because someone asked for that. Then oxygen as a growth limiting factor. Critical DO. Now we mentioned that now. Now, below critical dissolved oxygen, oxygen limits the growth rate. So the growth rate is limited when it is below the requirement, right? An example is Axotobacter. Continue laughing. At 0.05 milligram per liter, dissolved oxygen growth rate is only 50%. Even with ample nutrients. But variation by so for different microorganisms, there's always a percentage of what? Growth rate. Let me give you an example. For yeast, is between the dissolved oxygen is between 5 and 10%. And that is the reason most of the time we cover because we don't need more oxygen. Do you understand? Once we're able to get smaller oxygen, then the yeast, what's the name will rise. We don't have issue. But when it is below, and that is the reason why there are two things that will happen for your yeast to be ineffective. It's either it has been denatured, or it's either the oxygen, the smallest one you need, is not there. Exactly. Then mold cultures, like the one you have in your house, right? By the time it's in between 10 and 50 degrees C. I don't know whether you have there's something we normally use to get oxygen level inside the house. I think my former house, my humidity level, right?
Yeah, humidity indicator.
Because humidity to a larger extent determines the formation of mold.
Yeah.
So when you have a particular house that is mold in that is what's the name? That is prone to growth of mold, you need to check the what? Humidity level. And humidity level to a larger extent can be linked to oxygen level, so the soft oxygen. That's humidity, right? Am I making sense? Kaiba. What happened? We are causing trouble again. So Shaya, what happened? Are we safe? So do you understand what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
For different culture or different microorganisms or enzymes, there are always limiting value. Above the limiting value, the oxygen is okay. But below, then there is problem.
So then what about anaerobic bacteria?
You said what?
What about anaerobic bacteria which doesn't require oxygen?
That's another thing entirely. Because that one is what's the name? Without oxygen, there's no issue. You will discover at the end of the day, early I mentioned aerobic. So we are dealing with aerobic system. Because most reactor, they are aerobic system. Bioreactor rather. So for every of the bioreactor I asked you to design and the system, then most of it require, so you need to be careful also. If it's required, is aerobic system or anaerobic system. So now, if I were you, I would choose the easiest one. And you won't know the easiest one until you start looking for. So I will advise you start now. Write the mechanism, then write the key parameters, then the next one will be calculation, right? So that it won't be too much for you. Then growth rate versus growth extent. What is the difference between growth rate and growth extent? Growth rate depends on dissolved oxygen, whereas growth extent depends on nutrient availability and primarily glucose. That is nutrient, most of the nutrient we have. So that's just the difference. So if I ask you, discuss. So please, I want to check more on this. What is different between growth rate? Discuss the difference between growth rate and growth extent. So please work more on that. I can increase this thing. Then for oxygen transfer rates, limited by oxygen transfer across the liquid film surrounding gas bubble, blah, blah, blah. So this is just like I don't want to talk more. So for this one now, this is the general formula for oxygen transfer rates. Where Kn is the oxygen transfer coefficient, A is the gas liquid interface area, and C prime is the saturated DO, and Cl is the what? Is the actual DO. So this is more or less like we use this equation to explain oxygen transfer mechanism. So all this this is where your calculation starts.
Yeah. You will be giving us this formula, isn't it?
No, you can use it. And what will I give you for your projects?
No, for the exams.
Oh, you are talking about exam. You don't worry about exam. your project is the most important thing, right? For now, because it's 50 marks.
No, exam is also 50.
Because exam will tell you that you get 50 over 50.
Yeah.
You may not. It's not even possible.
Yeah.
There is no efficiency. There is no 100% efficiency.
Can you get 50 or 15 project?
No, why would you? That's not possible.
Then it's still the same thing, yeah?
No, it's not possible anyway. I know. How will I give you 50 over? Even if I give you 50 over 50, you will challenge it. Ola, why did you give me 50 over 50?
I will not challenge it.
So let's look at it. You have the different variables for oxygen. We have the we did I think I gave you this before. Oxygen yield coefficient and cell concentration, and we can balance this one. Don't worry. Just note this formula. Then maybe when we get to the calculation part, you understand better. So that is oxygen uptake rate. That's very important also. So then maintaining dissolved oxygen for stable growth. To maintain dissolved oxygen for consistent cell growth, you will use oxygen enriched air. And that is easy. At the end of the day, you see, we always pass something inside our bioreactor to introduce what? To introduce the oxygen. And then supply oxygen at what? 2 to 3 atmosphere. So those are the parameters you need to take into consideration. If I were you, I would start today. Then, now, this is another area of importance. Now, apart from the temperature of the system that you need to maintain, you need to take into consideration that in most instances, we do have heat generation in microbial growth. An example is yeast. When you introduce yeast inside your system, what happens? You determine outside that anybody talking to you now is not your friend. So now,
what are you doing?
But I'm talking. I'm your friend because this is what Shall you okay? Continue argue with me. You argue with your paper, with your exam paper. Don't worry, it's your time. Continue. You see what Shalini is Sinsanya, what is her name is doing now. By the time I start my own 90 exam, say, you think I'm wicked. I'm not wicked. I'm coming for you. Exam is January, eh? Don't worry. By the time you know, I'll bring a hand fan for you. So inside cold, you will see sweat. So heat generation in microbial growth. Bacterial growth releases heat as a byproduct of metabolic reaction. When there is a metabolic process, you must release heat. An example is, have you ever seen a situation whereby you are in distress and under AC you are still sweating? Has it ever happened before? It's because it's a metabolic process. Under AC, air condition.
No.
Even during cold season, you are still sweating.
If we drink?
Cold season. During winter.
Yeah.
Have you ever sweat during winter before?
Yeah.
It happened to you?
Yeah.
Don't worry, it will happen in January. So now, source of heat could be from what? Energy and growth metabolism. So during the growth of microorganisms, they normally release heat outside. And during the when they are walking, there will always be, it's more or less like us. If you are carrying big things, you discover that you start sweating, right? The same thing applicable to microorganisms. If you put yeast inside your flour, what happens? Because it's working for you, we discover that the container, the surface of the container will be hot because something is happening there, right? So that's it about that. So relationship between heat and substrate utilization. Now, there is an intake of your substrate. It's more or less that you put food. You understand? Okay. Have you ever find yourself maybe eating chili food or maybe hot food before?
Yeah.
You discover you start sweating.
You start sweating there.
Uh-huh. So now I expect you to be sweating now because I'm giving you hot biochemical. So now, for heat generation now, there is always what's the name? A connection between your substrate utilization, that is the eating, right, and the heat that is being generated. So heat generated approximately is proportional to the energy from the substrate utilization, right? So heat factor for heat is represented by Y4, and then it presents the heat produced per unit of cell growth and substrate use. We have a calculation on that, and this is a general formula. So for heat factor equation for heat generation, this is the general formula where Ys is a heat coefficient, and most importantly, if you have this kind of question, I will always give you, I will try and have mercy on you and give you the formula from the question. So you have no need to copy that, but not all the formula anyway. So Ys is the heat coefficient, that's gram cell per gram of the substrate, and the delta HS is the heat from full substrate oxidation, and this one is the heat from cell combustion per gram substrate. It's more or less like we are trying to explain the metabolic process inside what? Microbial growth. Then heat generation pathway. So we have the energy balance. So heat generation per gram of the substrate is based on one, the oxidation of the substrate producing water and CO2. So difference between total substrate oxidation heat and cell combustion heat. Don't worry, when we get there, there's a calculation on that. I think you understand better. So let's look at this example. Sure, this one will come out in your exam. So listen and listen well.
How many questions did you have?
That is a magic question. The reason why is that at least I need 12 questions.
12 questions.
Yes, 6 for the first exam, and for those who are not serious, who will come for the second one? Who will come for the second World War? That's another 6. So if you're asking me how many questions, so I only need 12 questions. It's first 6 questions is for the highly comer, and for the late comer who will come for my second exam. So that's another 6. But I don't pray you are in that category because it will be tough, right?
Yeah.
So don't worry, my exam is not difficult once you listen to what I'm teaching you now. So estimate the heat of combustion of Pseudomonas fluorescens growing in glucose medium. Let me give you an example. Let's say I give you this as a project. So you need to first, for temperature, you need to look at Pseudomonas fluorescens. What is the temperature tolerance of this? You understand? Then for pH, at which pH can this one withstand? Right? And what is the oxygen? Now, we are talking about oxygen now, right? Now let's look at this question. Given the combustion reaction for Pseudomonas fluorescens cells is this. You remember this kind of equation? So the heat of combustion for oxygen, we have it as 104 kilocalorie per mole, right? Then the dry cell weight measurement include approximately 10% hash. So calculate the total heat release by the combustion of Pseudomonas fluorescens cell. I can give you the same question, but I will twist it for you, so it will be a real life scenario. It can even be from your project. So, but it's the same calculation. So you need to understand it. So we have to calculate the total heat released by the combustion of our Pseudomonas cell. So combustion is that you already ingested something, right? Glucose or whatever food you have, right? Combustion is in the combustion of that food inside of you, of your cell inside. It's more or less like when you are fasting. The first day, you are still living on something. The second day, it will get to a time you start living on your fats. And at the end of the day, you start seeing that you are losing weight, right? For some of you. Society, I don't lose weight again. So I'm just talking to some of us that are big like this and want to lose weight, right? So you can go to dry fasting for 40 days. So determine the molar mass of the cellular combustion. So we have to determine molar mass of this. Then calculate the heat of combustion per gram of cell. And lastly, adjust the heat of combustion to account for ash content in dry cell weight. Let's look at the solution. So the first step, we are asked to calculate the heat released by combustion of cell. Now, this is the combustion equation. right? Now for this combustion equation, 1 mole of Pseudomonas fluorescens, that is CH 1.88, that's Pseudomonas fluorescens, right?
Yeah.
React with 1.28 of oxygen. You can see? You can see 1.28? That's the oxygen it reacts with, right? So to produce just 1 mole of what? CO2, right? So the product are CO2, nitrogen, and what? Oxygen. Then calculate the heat released by combustion of cells. Now, given heat of combustion of oxygen, so we are given 104 kilocalorie per mole, right? So the heat of combustion for oxygen is given as what? 104 kilocalorie per mole, right? So total heat released by oxygen in the reaction will now be what? It's very simple. We have 1.28, right? We multiply by 104. So we get 133.12 kilocalorie. So that is the heat released by the combustion of the what? Of the cell. As simple as that. So just get the mole, and that's all. Then, oh sorry. So calculate the heat release. So we have that already, right? Now, okay, we have that. Now calculate the molar mass of the cells. Molar mass of the cell. Very simple. So the formula for this, for Pseudomonas is this, right?
Yeah.
So we have CH whatever. So atomic mass for carbon, you know that. I don't need to give you the exam.
Yeah.
Aha. So you don't ask me.
Yeah.
So you know carbon. If you ask me, oh God, just give me enough. So hydrogen is 1, right? Nitrogen is 14. Oxygen is 16, right?
Yeah.
You just put it there, right? You get 20.78. And if you don't know the atomic mass of oxygen of carbon, you're on your own. OYO. So that of carbon is what? Is 12 gram per mole. So just know that hydrogen is 1, right? And nitrogen is 14. And oxygen, if you don't know this at this level, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Now, calculate the heat of combustion. That's the next question. Per what? Per gram of the cell. And that's very simple. Where for the gram of the cell, it's say 20.78 for the molar mass, right?
Yeah.
You just divide by what we got upset. Then we have 6.41 kilocalorie per gram. As simple as that. See, very simple, right? It's very simple. The solution is simple, but the question will be tough. But this is the same solution. Do you understand now?
Yeah.
So the next one is that adjust for ash content in actual cell mass. So since dry cell weight include about 10%, so you just get them. What's the name? The ash content is 10%, right? Then the real
90%.
weight is what? 90%. So the 90% ratio is what?
0.9.
You just multiply it by and you get your answer. That's not about that. That's 20 marks.
20 marks.
Or maybe 15 marks because I will add one more small question to it. So it's easy for you to pass and easy to fail.
Easy to pass.
Easy to pass and easy to fail.
No, no, it is not.
I'm telling you the reality. Because some people still feel last year. So your failure, what's the name? Success start from now. So it's possible you get this kind of question or this time. I think this one came out last year. Can't remember. Say, okay, this is for those who came for Second World War. For receipts.
Second World War.
Yes. So, you have question?
She's telling me.
You said what? This one? This?
No,
The first one?
uh,
Is it this? No, it's very simple. We are talking about the energy release, right? It's 104. And we have the mole. You just multiply by mole. It's more or less like, okay, let me give you an
no, we
example.
have,
Let me give you an example. Now, for you, you understand, for big people, the heat. How would I?
now the thing is, she's asking that
Okay.
we have calculated the release, heat release only for the oxygen, not
No, we are talking of oxygen. Yeah, combustion. What is combustion? So we are talking of combustion, and you have already seen it there. But if I want to give you this question, you know the way I said my question, I will give you a real life scenario. See, the monas is used for blah blah blah, and the substrate is well, and at the end of the day, this is the heat of combustion. One mode of the other calculates this. So I will give you just like more or less like a discussion. But once you see combustion, you know you are dealing with something like this, right? Now let's look at this. Calculate the heat generated during this is different. Calculate the heat generated. The heat is being generated now. See, I'm the one sweating now. Okay, what should we do? What could be responsible for that?
What? The windows are not open.
Are you feeling hot too?
Yeah.
Yes.
What should we do?
I turn off the heater. You should take a break.
Okay, you turn on the heater.
I turn off the heater.
Okay, better. Because I'm feeling the heat. See, I'm feeling the heat now. Don't worry, January. It's your turn. Calculate the heat generated during growth of baker yeast. So in two different conditions. Now, this is your question, right? We have the aerobic condition and anaerobic condition. The first one is what? Aerobic condition. But for anaerobic condition, we have two different stoichiometric equations for the aerobic and anaerobic. So if I want to make the question hard for you, of which is possible you have something like this, or just note two questions. Calculate the heat generated during the days, right? Aerobic growth with the following stoichiometric equation. That's without ethanol formation. So we have this what? Our baker yeast here, plus CO2, right? And wait, something is wrong.
I think you have a. It's I think like you have.
I think that CO2 should be O2.
Yeah, I think you have like. What they say? Rearrange the equation.
No, I will rearrange it. So just note this one. Just check the method first. Now we have aerobic and anaerobic, and we are given different data. Let's see. This one is just a bonus anyway. Aerobic growth condition. Now, write the heat balance equation for aerobic. For aerobic, since it is more or less like releasing energy, because for aerobic it's exothermic. Because it's releasing what? Energy out. Now, when you look at this, let's look at how we solve this. Heat balance equation, it means you need to look at input and output, right? Okay, let's look at this. Input is what? The first one. The first equation, that's 0.6, right? Then, what is the heat of combustion of this? Of this? The heat of combustion is 560, right? So 560 multiplied by what? So if I were you, I'll put the one under this one here, the one under this, right? So that is 0.6 multiplied by 560, right? Is that clear? So let's see how we got this. Minus 467 belongs to what?
Glucose.
Belongs to glucose, right? And where is glucose?
It's not there.
No, this is this now. CH2O.
You know, it's not glucose.
You said what?
Is it glucose?
No. You said what? I can't hear you clearly, please. No, this is more or less like a substrate.
Yeah.
So we have CH2O. Yeah. So that is 1 multiplied by what? Minus, because it's in the other part, right? So anything here is minus. So minus 1 multiplied by 560, right? No, sorry. Minus 1 multiplied by 467, right?
Yeah.
That one is done. Then the next one is this. Ammonia here, right? So it means we are concerned about this, right? Only this, and this, right? For the ammonia is what? 0.09, right? And what is the heat of combustion of ammonia?
3 degree.
Because it's without oxygen. Sorry, without
With oxygen.
without ethanol formation.
Yeah.
So we are only concerned about 3 heat of combustion. So you can base your calculation based on the given data, which is this 4, right? So at the end of the day, we're able to get answer for this. So you can get the answer for me here. So we substitute here. At the end of the day, we have also the combustion of yeast cell is this, the first one, right? Of glucose is this. Of ammonia is what? Is this. Then when you add everything together or you substitute, you have minus what? 165.47 because it's what? Is exothermic reaction. So for aerobic, this is the heat of combustion. So you can check it when you get home. Then the next one, we have anaerobic condition. That is for anaerobic condition. Please listen now. We have okay, this is stoichiometric of reaction. Come in place. Oh, this one is simple. For the anaerobic, the first one is what? Wait, where is it? Okay, it's water, right?
No.
Is it water? Let me see, please. I'm coming,
It's again
please.
the secret one. What the?
Something is with this.
No, it's the same one. We will again use that bacteria. What the name is that bacteria?
Oh, it's the same, right?
Yeah.
I'm coming. So the first one is this. No, it's not the same.
It's the same one, but it's a different version.
No, I'm trying to see. I think something is wrong here.
See, here.
Where do we get this 68.32?
From where they are now, we have calculated Q anaerobic for the yeast cells.
At the top.
This one is not shown here.
This one, yeah, right there.
I mean this 68.32.
Yeah, this comes from the combustion of yeast cells. Yeast cells. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
So the yeast cell, we already have this. We already have this,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Aha. So good. So that is 68.32. So we
Yeah.
don't need to do anything. Then plus 397. 397 is still within the input,
Yeah.
the reactant, right?
Yeah. Ethanol, because in this one ethanol is.
There is ethanol here. So this
Yeah.
one. So we have, what is this? Where is it? I'm coming, please. Okay, combustion of ethanol here.
Yeah. And
That 397. Okay, yeah.
Uh,
So all this will be given to you.
yeah.
Or no, we calculated it now.
Yeah, we calculated now.
So we multiply it, then we substitute, we get minus 8.1 kilojoule per mole. Please check when you get home. So for the aerobic process, the heat generator is what? 165. And anaerobic process, the heat generation is this. So I can ask you another question and add to it that account for the difference in what? In this heat, in terms of percentage. If you want to account, you just check the difference between this. So there is a reduction in heat generation by how much? Is it by 20%, 30%? So I can ask you that question. I can add it to that question, right? So maybe that is what we separate those who will get A and B. So that's that about that. Then the next one, oh, this is homework. Can you try this at home?
Yeah.
So possibly maybe this is your, what's the name? Crescendo. Okay, please remind me. Priyanka or Jyoti? Yeah. You're welcome. So make sure you listen to this, right?
Yeah.
So that is that about that. Easy. So we are through with this. Do you have any question before we move to introduction to fermentation process? Any question? What's that?
No,
Just tell me. Is there an issue?
no, nothing.
Oh, why did I close this? Amadi,
Sir,
are you okay? You are quiet today. What happened?
no, I'm fine.
Do you need help?
No, I'm good.
But this one good. You sound like Mukundu. You have to bear with me, oh, my friend.
Can Yvonne come to the reception, please? Yvonne, thank you.
Okay.
Who?
Is it for us? Mukundo. Okay. Or is it because of this light?
No, I don't think so. Turn it off again. If they say again, then it will be the issue.
Okay, maybe it's from the library.
Maybe.
Okay, let's look at introduction to fermentation process. Let's see how far we can go. What is this?
Turn off the light, please.
I'm coming away. Hope we are safe, because this turn off the lights we're talking about. We are not in hostel. Oh. Let me. I think it's asking me to. So we are already moving towards exam period. So very soon we finish fermentation process, and once that, let me see. Do we have still? I think I still have one topic, or 3 or 4. Okay. Don't worry, you are good, Amadi. You are good. Don't worry. That was the reason why I was shouting, please don't allow this thing to accumulate. See, design of our reactor is there. And next week, no, I won't do that now.
What is information pack?
You saw what?
Information pack. Lecture 7.
Yeah, you can check this information pack here. Then enhancing product recovery. This is very important. You know what will happen? Let's move into this before fermentation process, because they go hand in hand. Because if I move into fermentation process, you may have issue. But let's move to this, because this one will help you in your design. So let me make it visible for you. Oh, those who are not here, I hope they listen to those things, because this is useful for them. So it's shown now. You can have access to that. Oh, this is very important. I think let's do it now, and let's see how far we. Oh no, we can't finish it, but I will start because it's 43. But let me see now. We have upstream and we have downstream. What's the difference between upstream processing and downstream processing? Can someone tell me? What's the difference between upstream processing and downstream processing? In biochemical. Malini, what's the difference between upstream and downstream? You can ask Makunde. No, you just bear with me. I just want us to laugh. Malini,
Yes.
it's your turn. What's the difference between downstream and upstream? Why are you asking him? I will have to separate you people from that place. Let me go from this place. Don't check ChatGPT, because I can see you now. Makunda. Nije. Difference between downstream and upstream in biochemical process. What's the difference? We've heard of downstream before. What is downstream processing?
Like in downstream process, reactants are being added from top and products are being produced from bottom.
No.
Before the processing,
Okay.
it is upstream, and after processing it is downstream.
Thank you. So the upstream is the main process, but the downstream is what? After you finish the process, what are other things? And that is the reason why separation process is very important. When I told you last time that separation process in many industries take up to 70% of the cost of production. So it means if your downstream is faulty, the whole process will be faulty. So in biochemical process also, we have the upstream and we have downstream. The upstream involves all steps before the actual bioconversion or fermentation. So it includes preparation of raw material, media formation, sterilization, cultivation of microorganisms, and focus and cell growth maybe inside the bioreactor. But let's just assume that we've already finished the process, right? Maybe in the production of bio-oil. So our microorganisms already produce the bio-oil for us, right? But don't forget, we will not have pure bio-oil. We need to do further what? Processing. So that further processing is what we call downstream. You've ever heard of people that say, oh, I'm working in downstream petroleum refinery or something like that. So it means they are not working in that petroleum refining process. Maybe they are working in petrochemicals, right? The byproduct of what? Of petroleum. That's downstream. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just the difference. Now, for the downstream, it involves steps after bioconversion. So once you finish everything inside your bioreactor, what are further steps to further purify it? We won't be able to finish this, but maybe we'll do half of it. The next week, from there, we move to fermentation. I think that will make sense. And by that, I expect that you should be able to start your what's the name? Your design. But today, if I were you, between now and next week, you can start with your key parameters and calculation mechanism. So that the only thing that will remain is your actual design and the flow chart. And the actual design is your flow charts. Exactly. And that's why you explain different things and the rest like that. But if you are in doubt, you can reach out to me. So it involves steps after bioconversion or fermentation process to recover or purify the products. Now, the microorganism already finished the death phase, right? And you have the what? You have your products. How do you remove your products from the dead microorganism or from other bioproducts? And that's separation process. Thank you. So now it includes cell harvesting. Have you ever heard of cell harvesting before? Some people, this is their area of expertise, right? It includes extractions. It includes purification. It includes product formulation. Because some of the products we have, they are just the active ingredients. You know, these are us, what's the name? Some of the medicine we have, inside that medicine we have, what do you know, calcium carbonate. I've worked there before where we produce supplements. Now, what you see as supplement is not that, it's not the only thing there. The active ingredient maybe just 20%. All other are just maybe chalk. Let me just say chalk, right? So what I say in essence is that we can have product formulation also. Where you have your bio oil, maybe on your bio oil you add other synthetic material also, just to make up the whole product. So product formulation, purification process, extraction process, cell harvesting is under what? Downstream processing. Then it aims to produce high quality product by removing impurities with a focus on efficiency and cost effectiveness. Because this is where we spend more money. Because you will not want to get your product that will be contaminated. You don't want to get your product that will be injurious to other people's stuff. Because inside that formation, or inside the unpurified whatever, you have other contaminants also that can be injurious to human health. And that is the reason why this aspect is very, very important. This is where the product quality comes in. Upstream is about creating optimal environment for production. Now, for your design, the design of bioreactor on its own is the upstream. That's why you talk about different parameters and the rest like that. So part of your project also involves downstream, where you already have your production of blah blah blah. You understand? How do you purify it? How do you get the product out? Isolating and refining the final product is a what? Is a downstream. So you need to know different separation process, different post-treatments that you need. Those are the Those are the different flow diagrams we join together. I just need your creativity. That's all. Once you understand the process, you can get different unit operations. You need to have it because now this is an advanced level, so you need to be able to think, because that is the work of a process engineer. Even though you cannot design, you understand what the process is all about and what each unit operation, how each unit operation works. That's very important. So let's look at downstream processing. So we dwell much on this. Various stages of processing that occur after the completion of fermentation process or bioconversion stage includes separation process, purification, and packaging of the products. So you need to add that one to this, right? Getting tired. So now, introduction to the downstream processing. After the production of the desired fermentation product, the next most important step include product recovery and purification. Aris, can you read this for me?
Yeah.
And I will explain.
After the production of the desired fermentation product, the next most important step includes the product recovery and purification.
Next one.
The recovery and purification of fermentation product refers to the downstream processing.
Yeah. So purification and recovery. So recovery is very important. Very, very important. It's of no use after designing the bioreactor and you have your product and you're unable to get it out. Please, I beg you, start reading your notes, please. It will become more complicated. I still check today. Some people, the last time you checked the Moodle page was about 8 days ago, some 10 days ago, some it wrote never. Please and please, I beg you. You know I'm begging you now. Try and start reading. Because I need to think for you now. Reason is that you will get to a point when you finish. I know some of us here were international students, right? And you want to stay here and have your stay. One of the important things I always tell people is that you look beyond COS, look beyond care job. No, that's not sustainable for you. It's a shame as a chemical engineer with everything that you are doing here. But and look beyond all this product management, those that will tell you, okay, do this product, this and that, all this tech and the rest like that. Even if you don't want to go into tech, because if you don't have the background before, it's difficult at times. But it's another area that you don't need to use your brain much. All you need is just to learn how to use it and how to apply it. So DOE is here, but I will give you the introduction in in advanced separation process. But if later, maybe when you finish, you want to learn more, we have a group that I can send it to so they can treat you, teach you free, or whatever is left to you for you to discuss with them. But those are the things that will help you. So those are the skills you need to add into your master's degree. Very, very important. The certificate is not the most important thing. It only gives you entrance. But they will ask you, what do you know? Oh, I've learned this, I've learned this, I've learned that, and that. And if it's a production, I know what I'm saying. A friend just called me today. I think he just got a job in one of the one of the universities. I think Anglia Ruskin. He got two jobs. One is from is in industry. I think they are paying around 50-something thousand just because of life cycle assistance. We did postdoc together. She was the one in charge of life cycle assessment. And just because she wants to go into academics, so she chose academics. Around 45,000 a pay. So it's small money, but at least it's good to start with. So what I'm saying in essence is just that if you don't have any brothers that will help you, you You don't have anybody that will tell you, okay, after your graduation, just come outside, please and please. You don't need to overthink anything because I know this country, they put pressure on you. But without putting pressure on you, the little time you have now, use it to train yourself to learn transferable skills. And these are the skills I'm telling you now. Three, take economic modeling. I think there is Super Pro. You can learn the Sigma Pro, Super Pro. They are very good, what's the name? Good software you can learn. Different industry have their different what is software. But imagine someone telling you that okay, they want to employ someone in life cycle assessment and they ask you, what do you know about this? Another example, I know one of my friends, I think he applied for postdoc and they asked him, the only thing they need is someone specialist in that area. They don't need to be specialist, just for you to have an idea. And everything, he told me, Ola, everything they were asking me is about life cycle assessment. I don't know anything about it. And this guy is very good for that area. No, it's not good in that area. But they have to disqualify him. And somebody without paper, without anything, just because he knows that, that's the only reason why they apply. So I'm just telling you this. I'm not concerned about this lecture alone because you need them, but or you need all these transferable skills to add to your CV. That's very important. Hope I'm not overdoing this. So now, special consideration for product recovery. The product might be intracellular. Intracellular that is within the what? Within the microorganism like honey from bee. It could be heat larva. Heat larva is sensitive to heat. So those are the things you need to be very careful of. So once you get your product out, so the type of separation process you will use will determine the nature of that product. Imagine you want to do this and you are using what's the name, distillation process or something, maybe evaporation process that involves heat. So it will degrade all the components. And products that are easily damaged by contamination from microorganisms and increases the difficulty of product recovery. So those are the things you need to take into consideration. So for your design project, you need to tell me different product recovery methods you want to use. Exactly. Oh, I need to. So